Yeah.
Uh,
Hey guys, it is episode 55 of the Crossover Podcast. We are back again. Another Friday night coming to you, as I said, live. Rocking out with Trey and Amina. For you Trey fans, he is back with a vengeance. So let me allow him to Trey there.
I am here. What's up, guys?
yeah.
Um, what was I gonna say? It is CT3 here. Podcast is I think it's 2 consecutive weeks now that I've been back on the podcast, or did I? No, I missed it last week. I was slacking last week. Uh, but hopefully I can get a few in a row. Get a streak going. But, I'm on a high right now because of the Eagles. So you know, we'll see how that goes.
Whoop, whoop, 6-1, baby, 6-1. All right, let's go over to our resident Raiders fan. Get him, Amina.
Hey, Samina rocking out episode 55. The last episode of October. Um, got a lot to talk about. Not a lot, but just enough. It's been a crazy week concerning a few topics, and we're gonna really talk about them tonight. And I hope everyone enjoys.
As I like to say, this is episode 55. We are into November, which as most of you know who have been following this podcast from day one, we're getting into our to November, and I think Trey can correct me if I'm wrong. Veterans Day weekend, so in 2 more weeks will be our anniversary, our 1 year anniversary of doing this podcast. As we said before, started out with two, now we rock it out with 6 to 8. Hopefully, we can get a full force for that podcast Thursday weekend. Yes, it started out with the original two, Trey and I, and it branched out since then. So we are thankful for this podcast, episode 55. We should be on, I think, episode 57 by then. So we're just excited, man. We're rocking out. It's been a year. It feels like it's been longer than that, but it's been a year, going on a year. So yeah, we're excited. Let's get into these topics. As Mina and Trey says, it's been a busy week in the sports world. And we're gonna start with a little bit of a lighter topic, but maybe a topic that's gonna have a tendency to be controversial. But this is our crossover hot takes once again. Most of it being all about sports. So let's get into it. And before we do, let me just say before we get into all opinions expressed here are the opinions of those individuals and not the opinions of the crossover podcast as a whole. So let me just start with that. So we're gonna start with this. I hopefully Trey and Amina have followed up on the story. There's a story about a 16-year-old Massachusetts girl. Now, but she lives in, I think, one of them hard to pronounce names in Massachusetts. But I'm gonna try. I think it's Hawk, Massachusetts, which is not far, apparently not 30 minutes outside of Boston. She was a girl who was on her boys golf team. She was the best competitor there, won first prize, but because of obscure rule, and because she was a girl, she couldn't win her trophy. So it went to somebody who she did 3 strokes better than. I know a lot of you must know golf. 3 strokes mean, but for those of you that are not like that, means she won by a lot. So I'm gonna let the panel go in on it. Let's start with Amina. Let's get her thoughts on it. Amina.
I actually got the first whiff of the situation when you were actually on Facebook talking about it. I guess I think it was 2 people that were arguing with you about it. I guess. Um, from what I got from the one article I read and based on the comments that were posted, she's a girl. She was playing, what sport was it? Golf.
Correct. Yes, golf.
Golf. Right. Okay. She's a girl playing golf. from what I got from the articles, that they're not trying to give her a trophy that she legitimately won. I guess because of her sex, but there's no stipulations concerning your sex, concerning male or female, for I guess the organization or team she was on, whatever. Um, as you said on the post, give the girl a daggone trophy. You have it's two types of sports out here: co-ed and non-co-ed. And from what I got, it was not non-co-ed. It was basically free for anyone to join, male or female, and they're trying to, I guess, not give her her due respect because of she's a girl. My thing is, a whole lot of girls out here are doing things that traditionally men work. Women are toll bridge operators. Women work with track, like welding, engineering, astronauts. Women are no longer just your traditional housewife, mother, um, um, homemaker, maids, nannies. Those days are gone. Women in this country have accomplished just about everything except for joining the NFL and being the president of the United States. Women and girls are doing things, amazing things, regardless to their race, socioeconomic status, education levels, and etc. Give this girl her trophy. Like, what's up? Like, she clearly won the games. She clearly deserved it. I don't know what's up. Like, I guess people feel as though women should go back to the days of subservitude, where be seen and not heard. Don't speak quietly like a church mouse. Don't say it. Don't have a voice. Don't make your presence known in the world. That's not happening. Today, women are on the move, whether men and boys like it or not. Um, if she's not given what she's owed, and deserved, I think she should, take some type of take some type of action against whoever's supposed to be giving her this trophy, because it's stupid. Let this girl's light shine and let her have her moment. Now, if they want to have non-co-ed sports, then sure, have a women girl league for golf and have one for men and boys. But until then, you can't deny someone something, and there was no stipulation concerning them being a part of it. She signed up for it, she tried out, she practiced, showed up, put the work in. Now it's time to, like a lawsuit. It's time to pay up. And if I was her, I would, be fighting tooth and nail to get what I deserve as far as a trophy or money, whatever it is. Otherwise, but these days are sickening. You know, they wouldn't be doing this if it was a boy. I can guarantee you that. But because it's a girl, it's a different situation. But that's what I have to say.
Oh, I forgot to say this. Please hit them with your personal, social media accounts that people can find you at if they have a problem with it. What you say on this podcast?
Huh?
I said, please to let the people know where they can hit you up at if they have problems with what you just said.
Oh, just my full name. You know what I mean? Muhammad. Amenah, Muhammad. Spelled the usual way, and you could probably find me on Calvin's page periodically. But it is what it is.
Yes. That's what we're doing, right? 'Cause Matt started this trend. I'm gonna continue it. Go ahead, Trey.
Well, first of all, let me get something straight real quick. Is she did not get the trophy?
No, she didn't.
Nah, she didn't get it.
Okay, and she was playing for. Was this a co-ed? Because I didn't really read much about it. And was this a co-ed golf team or was it she playing on a boys golf team?
It's the boys golf team, but we didn't get, and no one's added any further clarification as to whether there's a girls team. I assume
Right.
the
Okay.
assumption is there
Um,
isn't. She wouldn't have been on the boys team, you know.
right. Well, I don't know. Like, if the girl was allowed to play on the boys team, um, then and she did so well enough that she deserves a trophy. Then I think she deserves a trophy, and she should get her trophy. Um, I don't know how old this girl is, but I don't think that really matters. If she was eligible to play for the boys golf team, I imagine that maybe
16.
they didn't have
Trey, 16.
yeah, huh?
16.
She's 16. Okay. I imagine that if she's playing on the boys team, that there probably wasn't a girls team, and that's why she's playing on the golf. And mind you, this is golf. If this were like basketball or football, I think the person should still get the trophy, but there's a little bit more of a conversation because, or like if this is a girl playing on a guy's basketball team when there is a girls basketball team, then you're like, okay, it doesn't really make any sense. Why is she playing for the boys basketball team? But in this case, especially because it's golf, like, and I know some teams actually have co-ed golf teams, so I don't understand why it's such a big deal for her to get a trophy. I'm guessing that maybe there's some in the I don't know, in the regulations or whatever, in the rules of the league, maybe it says, that you had to, maybe it says like you must be, this age, you must be a male of this age or so and so to, or, to be eligible or something like that, to win a trophy or something like that. Maybe something like that is written in the rules and regulations of the league or the team or the area that they live in. And maybe that's why she couldn't win a trophy.
Wait, before you go on, I just because
Yeah.
you just brought up a valid point, and I forgot to say this before we started. The rule that they used to say that she couldn't get the trophy is that they were told ahead of time that she could play in the tournament, but she couldn't win a trophy because there's a rule in their rule book that says if a girl plays in this particular tournament, her score would count towards the team score. Why you would do a team score in an individual sport, which is golf, is beyond me. But that was the rule
Right.
that they
Okay.
all agreed to. So says the tournament. But
Right. Okay. Well, in that case, then if they were told ahead of time, then there shouldn't be any uproar about her not getting the. Well, I'll say this: if they were told ahead of time and they were okay with her not getting the trophy beforehand, when they were told, okay, because she's playing for a guy's team, count towards the team score, and even though she will compile individual golf scores, it will not count towards being able to get a trophy. And her parents were okay with that, and she was okay with that, then that's one thing. However, I can't see maybe how that would have happened. And if it did happen, I feel like the parents and the girl were probably reluctant to do that. They just probably allowed her to do that because she wanted to play golf, and there probably wasn't a girls' team. But even if that is the case, I think with the team, I think I think that the rule shouldn't be that if a girl plays for the team, especially in an individual sport, you're basically what you're saying to a girl who wants to play golf for this school or this league is that we're not going to get you. There's no girls team. You can play for the guys team, but your individual achievements don't count. That's what you're saying to this girl, and that's unacceptable. So I just leave it at that.
All right, let me say this, right? As Amina alluded to, I posted about this on Tuesday. You know, that's when it was making headway. Apparently, I hope I didn't butcher the name of this place in Massachusetts, Wassahick, Massachusetts. It might even be Warshak, Massachusetts, but some with a W in it, Massachusetts. I'm sure between Trey and Amina, somebody will check me on how to actually say that name. So you know, I believe that she should get the trophy. Now, before I say this, I do not mean this to offend anybody in the trans athletic community, because I don't know if her. I believe they didn't say in the article. Now, all I'm saying is based on the article that was on ESPN and is made its way. It didn't say that, you know, the reason she was on the team was because she felt like she was a boy trapped in a girl's body. So I believe, because I don't have any evidence to the contrary, that the reason why she was playing on that team is because, like Trey said, and like I said earlier, there was no girls team. I don't believe that. I don't know, but I don't believe it. Let me start there. But we are in 2017, right? And for me, and I agree with Trey, and I also agree with Amina that this is one of those times where we all agree that, you know, she should have the trophy. I mean, she won by 3 strokes, as Trey said. You know, they might as well. That's basically what they said. They said, "Oh, your individual accomplishments because you're a girl playing on a boys' team." I guess nobody thought they'd actually be able to actually have to change the rule book, right, to allow this girl to play. But she should be given the trophy, man. She won it fair and square. She worked just as hard as any of the boys to get into this tournament. She obviously is good. She beat a whole bunch of guys by 3 strokes. You know how much preparation and practice it takes to beat a whole bunch of guys by 3 strokes in a guys tournament? Like, you know, it's not too many times that, you know, naturally, and just the way our bodies are made between men and women, men are stronger than women, right? For her to basically out-muscle however many guys was in this tournament by 3 strokes is just amazing. Like, that was a feat in itself. When I heard that she won, I was all like, you go, girl. You go, right? But the fact that she won by 3 strokes, which is a lot in golf, like, she deserves that trophy, man. We are in a society where most people think that this is the generation, because this is the generation under our generation. They think that all they're handing out is a participation trophy. And here I hear people, some of them are people who I know are anti-participation trophy, saying that this girl don't deserve her trophy because she played on a boys team. And I made the argument to all these people, people that, you know, believe in participation trophies and people that don't, that she deserves this trophy just on the strength that there is no girls team, or else the article would have mentioned it, right? She needs this trophy, man. We need this in 2017. This is an easy victory for the golf person. As Amina alluded to, I talked to one of my persons, Trey, and I know him well. Kaylin, I was talking to one of my friends about this, and even he said that, like, you know, he believes they should give her the trophy, but he was saying that, you know, based on the rules, maybe they shouldn't. But here's my thing, right? They said that her individual accomplishments, as Trey aptly pointed out, and unfortunately Courtney isn't here to prosecute this even further, right? Give her the trophy, man. This is an easy victory. Like, if they just wouldn't have just let her play, then I would understand people's argument that, you know, oh, it's a boys' tournament, you shouldn't have been there. Then don't let her play. Take the PR hit. The people that run the tournament should have just taken the PR hit and said, we don't want her playing. Just take the PR hit, because that's basically what they did, right? This is the PR hit they're taking in. Just to go be a little bit controversial, we got boys playing in girls sports, running in girls track teams, playing girls, playing softball, playing on the girls team of basketball because they feel like women. Here we got the opposite: a girl that didn't have a girls team, and we're not giving her the trophy. But if she would have said, I feel like I'm a girl trapped in I'm a boy trapped in a girl's body, I bet you they would have given her the trophy then. Like, I'm gonna leave it at that, because this is how infuriating this is, right? If she was claiming that status, she would have gotten the trophy. But because she's just a regular girl and there's an obscure rule, right? Here we are in 2017, not giving somebody something that they rightfully deserve. I don't even care about the rule. I really don't. Like, the rule is obscure. Like, how specific you got to be to just be all like, well, the girl can play, but, you know, it's got to count toward the team score and the individual sport. Like, come on, just give her the trophy, man. I have nothing else to add. Amina, do you have anything? Does anybody have anything else to add? I really don't have anything else to add. I'm trying to stay out of trouble today. At Kyla W.
Yeah, like I feel as though like what you just said, not even a minute ago. Um, this the snowflake generation. I mean, this snowflakes who have the hashtag I'm offended generation, and I'm going to say it. And hey, want to come at me? I'm gonna hey, Evan Muhammad on Facebook, inbox me. If she had said, "Hey, I'm a girl biologically, but I feel like a boy," guaranteed they would have gave it to her. But because this is not a situation like that, they don't want to give it to her. They don't want to give her that trophy because she's a girl that's actually living the life of a girl. And as you and Trey said, there is no girls tournament, girls league. It's not like the WNBA for women's basketball, where it's an entire league for her to join. This is golf. There is it's co-ed as far as the last time I checked. So to hell with the rules. Give the girl her daggone trophy and keep it moving. That's what I gotta say.
I mean, that reminds me. I just can't overstate how easy of a victory this is for the people that run this tournament. You give her the trophy, and then, right? You give her the trophy, and then say, all right, starting next year, we're going to start a girls' tournament. You know how simple that would have been. Instead, I'd be here praising you for making a good decision instead of destroying you. Like, you know how simple that would have been. Oh, here's the trophy. Here's your trophy. Here's your trophy, miss. Here's your scholarship or whatever you need, because 16, probably a junior. Here's a scholarship or whatever you need for college or your future college preparation or whatever. Or, by the way, from now on, we will set up a girls' tournament starting next year in 2018. How simple is that? That's a simple PR victory in 2017. Yet, here we are talking about older snowflakes that run the tournament in Massachusetts because you couldn't do something simple. Give the girl the trophy. She won by 3 strokes. This is the Kim Possible generation, the generation that grew up watching Kim Possible. They believe that they can do anything, even playing in golf. And it's only a matter of time before we get our first woman in the NFL player. Like, what is wrong with y'all? This is this generation. This is the Kim Possible generation that grew up thinking that they could do anything men can do. Anything you can do, I can do better. To reference the old Mia Hamm, Michael Jordan commercial. Right? Come on. Give her the trophy. All right, we're going to move on before we go too much down this rabbit hole. Colin Kaepernick inked a $1 million book deal. Thoughts? Go ahead, Trey.
Hold on a second. Let me get my thoughts together. We'll go back. Well, come back to me.
Go ahead, Amina.
I actually saw a posting on a social media page on Facebook, a group that I follow. Somebody made a meme about it, and we all thought it was a joke, and everything was funny. But apparently, it's true. Um, hmm. It's an endorsement. It's a little bit of money compared to how much he's been getting in the NFL. Um, I'm happy for him regardless. I mean, it's something to keep him busy, to take his mind off of the NFL until he knows his future in the NFL. But I feel as though it's a band-aid on a situation that needs a cast. Um, hey, he write okay. He can write a book, go on a book tour, promote it, sign autographs in the book cover, smile, take pictures with folks, and it's done over. But at the end of the day, his number one desire at the moment is not being fulfilled or met at the moment. He said over summertime, there's a summertime this year that just ended, that he's ready to get back in the NFL, that he wants to play. He doesn't want to be on the bench, he says. He wants to be actually out on the field doing his job as a Super Bowl quarterback that he is. Colin Kaepernick started this movement of his nearly 2 years ago. It's almost 2018. He started 2016. And since he left the 49ers, not one team has taken up real interest in him. As I've said on a few podcasts in recent times, something needs to go on. This book deal is okay, it's alright, but it's not what we desire for him. As I've said a few times on Facebook and on this podcast, if the man isn't signed to a team between now and the end of this coming off season, which is July, he needs to seriously do a press conference or some type of live interview on TV and just come out and state his sentiments, because he's yet to come forth and break his silence. He hasn't decided anything in regards to his career. But if he's not going to be signed between now and the end of next summer, per the NFL's decisions and choices, he needs to look into retiring. Because he's only going to be 30 years old in a few days. He's 29. He's turning 30 next month in November. He's still got at least 5 to 7 more years, good years left in him for football. He's not done. He's in the prime of his career still. And a book deal, that's something that, from my experience concerning sports athletes, that's something they usually get when they're retired, close to finishing their careers, when they're up in age. That's not something usually they do in the prime of their career. So my thing is, what's up? Like, I need for one of these teams, not the 49ers, because I know you ain't going back there. I need one of the other 31 teams to say something. Come forth, claim him, get him suited and booted into a uniform on a roster, and get him out on the field. Not on the bench, not in the locker room, not in the stands, but on the field, playing the game. He's a Super Bowl quarterback. He's not no regular everyday quarterback. He's been to the Super Bowl. He has potential. And as far as I'm concerned, his potential is being wasted away nearly 2 years post the start of his movement. This book deal, I mean, it's okay, but it's not going to solve the problem. It's not part of the problem, it's not part of the solution, but it's not solving anything. this book deal will be okay to me if since he left the 49ers, he was on another team and he wasn't being blackballed by the NFL, but that's not the case. This is the only basically good thing that's came to him in his personal life since he left the 49ers, and that's not good. I pray for him that he accomplishes everything that's in his heart and mind to do. But this book deal, I don't know. I mean, I know his book is going to be good, and I look forward to checking it out. But this is not the direction in his life that I know that he wanted it at this point, at the age he is. Right now, he should be on the team, practicing on the team. He should be traveling with the team. He should be playing games with the team. This, that, and the third, but he's not. But instead, he's been given a book deal. But like I said, it's a band-aid being put on a situation that needs a cast. This doesn't fix what's going on. And it's kind of, bittersweet, so to say, so to speak.
I definitely agree. It is a band-aid on a bigger situation, but you know what? As I said before, as was said on this podcast before, as I've said, I think as Amina said, we all basically know that unless like Aaron Rodgers got injured, we see how badly Brett Hundley is playing, and the Packers didn't even give him a look; they just rolled with Brett Hundley, and though I'm all for hashtag give black quarterbacks a chance. I think that there are two better quarterbacks out there right now that would be serviceable for the Packers, and the Packers are just one team. But there are two teams that are more serviceable, or two quarterbacks that are serviceable for the Green Bay Packers. One's name is Robert Griffin. The other one's name is my boy Colin Kaepernick. Now, of those two quarterbacks, I think Colin Kaepernick is the better option, obviously. But, I feel, and as we've said on this podcast before, I feel Colin Kaepernick is very much done in the league unless some team that doesn't care in a liberal city, like, we know the Raiders won't do it because they have a quarterback. They have Amina's favorite quarterback, Derek Carr. My team has
The Giants need him right now.
has Carson Wentz. The Giants definitely do need him, but they want to rock out with Eli Manning until he gets hurt and retires. So the Jets need him definitely. Actually, both teams in New York need him. The dang he could even go to DC. I won't say Dallas. He can even go to DC. There are a couple of Baltimore needs a quarterback now because Joe Flacco just got knocked out yesterday. And Baltimore was the original team. You see how that works? The two original teams that were supposed to sign him are both having quarterback trouble. Miami and Baltimore. How about that? It's like his God saying, you should let my boy play on this team, right? Or else I'm going to just keep hurting your quarterbacks. So you have no options. But, you as Amina said, it is a band-aid, but I've said this I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'm glad somebody on this podcast, or I'm glad somebody in Colin Kaepernick's circle has the same mind as I do. I told him this is a two-pronged strategy that I'm glad that somebody told him to follow, which is get a book. You are already suing the NFL, so get a book, get your story out there, write a book, get your story out there as quickly as possible before the NFL machine, which is just like a political machine, brings you through the dirt because he is suing the NFL. We talked about the collusion suit last week. No need to rehash that. But I'm glad he's following that. First you get the $1 million, which can go to your salary, or you could just, because I'm sure his jersey is still in the top 10, top 15. Haven't checked. you know, because people are still buying his jersey. So I'm sure he's still getting money from the NFL. You know, use that $1 million, put it towards some more social justice causes, or put it towards your own personal bank account. Then start doing interviews, start making the rounds. Go on ESPN, go on Good Morning America. Don't go on Fox News. Go on Good Morning America. Go on the Today Show. Start cashing in. Start doing $1 million interviews on 60 Minutes, on the shows that come on Friday night that I don't pay attention to. Get one with Lester Holt. Get one with Michael Strahan. You know, start doing the interview circuit.
The Breakfast Club.
Yes, do the Breakfast Club. Even though I think Charlamagne the God is a fool, do the Breakfast Club.
Yes, the Breakfast Club would be great for him.
You know, do something, man. It's time to. You've been silent too long, man. You know, the NFL has given you an olive branch. If I was you, I wouldn't go to no meetings until they give you a job. But you know, do your thing, man. Come on, it's time to get your story out there. The book deal is a great start, but I know you want to be playing, man. But I think now is a perfect time to start planning your after football activities, because as I said this earlier. I know Amina said it. I know Trey has said it. I know Matt has said it. We've all said it at various different points. Barring a significant injury, and we've had significant injuries, and we'll get to injuries derailing the football season in a couple minutes. But you know, we had the major injury to a significant quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and he still didn't get a job. We just had another one with Joe Flacco just yesterday. We had Jay Cutler last week. I don't know, guys. I'm starting to think he just won't get a job this year. Maybe not even next year. You know, I think that it's time for him to, like I said, I don't want him to do that because, as Amina said, he's about to turn 30 next month or in a couple of weeks. But it just seems like he should be planning to have a reinvention like Tim Tebow. Just go into broadcasting, man. Just get your ESPN. Tell your agent to just draft you up an ESPN contract. See if ESPN wants you. Like I said, don't sully yourself by going on Fox anything. You know, go to CBS Sports. Do something, man. It's time to start thinking about your after football career, because I don't know another significant quarterback that can get injured, because the significant quarterback got injured already. Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Joe Flacco, another Super Bowl quarterback. He just got injured. Maybe Baltimore take a look at Colin once again, but I don't know, man. You know, I'm kind of at a loss, but I'm glad he got the book deal. I want him to start doing interviews, but as Amina said, you know, she summed it up. It's just a Band-Aid on a situation that I know he didn't think he'd be in, but this is the hand he was dealt. You know, go ahead, Trey.
Well, when I heard about the book deal, I mean, I kind of chuckled because I'm like you just, I think you, like what you were saying, is basically like taking a back seat kind of thing, and it's kind of like taking a back seat, and I mean, like, obviously he's a football player, right? As far as I know, he doesn't have any other books, so it's kind of funny to hear him say, oh, you know, that he has a $1 million book deal, and he has no experience in, you know, writing books or anything. So I just kind of found it a little bit funny, but at this point, it's gotten to the point where it's obvious that he's getting, you know, blackballed by some of these owners, right? Not all. But there are some teams that could sign him and haven't signed him. And some teams that, you know, there's some teams that haven't signed him that could have signed him and probably had no reason with his protest, but haven't signed him. For example, like you brought up, Kylan, the Packers. I think the Packers are just, I don't think they have anything against his protest necessarily. I think they're just going for the younger quarterback and Brett Hundley. But I'm not a big reader, but I mean, hopefully his book is good, and you know, it gets a message out of whatever it's gonna. I mean, whatever the title of the book, and you know, the major content of the book is. Hopefully it gets out there and people kind of get more of an idea of what he's about. But I don't think a book is going to change anything because, I mean, he's already said, he's already explained himself. We know the story about the fact that he talked to Nate Boyer and, decided to kneel as a respect to military personnel. So I don't know how much good a book will do. I think it will it'll just affirm, what we've been saying this whole time, and that is that Colin Kaepernick decided to protest, which he has the legal and constitutional right to do, and denied that right by getting blackballed by a good chunk of the NFL owners, and by not, and it's a shame that this is going on. That it's come to the point where he's now gonna literally completely switch gears 100% from being an NFL quarterback to, potentially a New York best time seller author. And I hope he does well. But again, like you were saying, Colin, he's taking a back seat to get a message across.
All right. Okay, we're gonna move right along to number 3. We had the Cowboys released a player, and they are claiming it's because of his criminal record. But this player, his name is Damontre Moore, just so happened to raise the Black Power fist during the national anthem in defiance of the grand overlord owner himself, Jerry Jones. After Jerry Jones said, "None of my players shall kneel for the anthem," and Damontre Moore didn't kneel for the anthem, he raised the Black Power fist, and the next day he found himself cut. That the Cowboys are saying that is just pure coincidence, and it had nothing to do with his protest, and they found a criminal record. They suddenly care about criminal records in Dallas. Thoughts, y'all? Thoughts? That's what. Oh, matter of fact, that's not the question. Thoughts, and why has that flown under the radar? I'll start. The reason it's flown under the radar, or not under my radar, but under everybody else's radar, it even flew under my radar until I saw it being talked about on ESPN, is because we've had a lot to deal with this week. We had, and we'll get to this later, we had Clemson impeach a black VP because he refused to stand for the anthem. We've had ESPN did a grand profile of my alma mater's backup quarterback, Jairi Durante. So we've had a lot going on with the NFL and this football and the anthem because of 45, and so it's been a lot this week. And the Jerry Jones picked the perfect week to get rid of a player, but hoping he thought he was slick, but the internet never forgets. And unfortunately, Mr. Moore is a product of being a marginal defensive end, a marginal player on the Dallas Cowboys, not named Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, or Dez Bryant, right? That's basically what he is. He's a victim of not being one of the profitable black players on the Cowboys. That's what he is. Not being a player that people come to see. He wasn't a Greg Hardy, which is a noted criminal that Jerry Jones loved. He wasn't a Michael Irvin, another criminal that Jerry Jones loved. He wasn't I said Greg Hardy. Who's the other guy that currently plays for the team that they drafted? He wasn't good Lord, he's a linebacker too. I think his last name is Lawrence. He wasn't a Lawrence, a guy who Jerry Jones drafted, who hasn't played it down because he can't stay off the weed and stay off the methamphetamines. He isn't one of those guys. That's what the Cowboys would like to have us believe, that suddenly they grew a conscience where they never had a conscience before when it comes to signing their players and them having a criminal record. They want us to all of a sudden believe that in 2017, when the owner that is fervently, yes, I just used the SAT word, fervently against players kneeling or doing anything during the anthem. It just so happened that this player that just so happened to do the Black Power fist, following in the footsteps of Dr. Tommy John and Dr. John Carlos. You know, he lost his career and his money because suddenly Jerry Jones grew a conscience, you know. And Jerry Jones has never grown a conscience as far as in the last few years when it comes to signing players in his life. The reason why this flew under the radar is because Jerry Jones thought he was slick because he lost last week when the NFL decided, no, we're not going to discipline our players and make them stand. Because as we found out from the ESPN article, they had a big-time sponsor, one of their biggest sponsors. I wonder who that was. I'm thinking it might have been Verizon. Say that, I have no proof that it was Verizon, but it's just one of their big sponsors. But I think it was Verizon. Say that if the NFL made their players stand for the anthem, they would pull out. We found out that who the mystery fifth owner was, Bob McNair. We'll get to him in a minute, right? And Jerry Jones thought he was slick. Jerry, you're not slick, man. We see who you truly are from here on out. You're a dude that's so patriotic, so-called, because it's profitable. You're a profit patriot. That's what you are. You're a patriot when it's convenient for your bottom line. But you know, you're just a hypocrite, Jerry. You're just a guy that says that, you know, you care about family values, you care about the good old US of A, but yet you got people like Greg Hardy and Michael Irvin, two noted criminals against women that have been on your roster. And yet you expect us to believe that you just all of a sudden grew a conscience this week. Yeah, I doubt it, Jerry. You're not slick. Trey?
I didn't know about this player, and as an Eagles fan, I don't care about the Cowboys. You know, we strongly hate the Cowboys. But I did not know. I guess this slipped by me that and most of us probably, that the Cowboys had gotten rid of a player. But Jerry Jones said it himself. He said, if you kneel, you off the team, or you're gonna be you won't be playing. Now the funny thing is that Jerry Jones is all about money, right? He's got $1 billion stadium. He's got over $1 billion. He's probably worth, just himself and his family are probably worth over $1 billion. And the funny thing is, if it were Dak Prescott or Zeke or DeMarcus Lawrence or anybody on that defensive line, which is actually helping them win games right now, or has gotten them to 3-3 at this point, is their defensive line and their offensive line. Dak Prescott is playing. There's no way that Jerry Jones takes Dak Prescott or Ezekiel Elliott out of the game because he's not. And we all know that because Jerry Jones would be losing millions of dollars if for even one game Ezekiel Elliott or Dak Prescott were out of the game, or Dez Bryant were out of the game because of Jerry Jones saying that if you kneel, you're going to be sitting on the bench. So, I mean, I find it funny that the hypocrisy or the irony really of this situation is that Jerry Jones would, who's the player that got cut or whatever? Because I've never heard of him.
Demontre Moore.
What is it? Demontre Moore is here.
He's a defensive end. He's like, I guess.
Defensive end.
I think he's the guy opposite Lawrence.
But has he been playing?
I think so. Yeah, I think
I mean,
in their last.
that's aside. I mean, that's aside from the point. He's not a key player or he's not a star on that team necessarily. The key. I mean, when you think about the Cowboys and you think about their best players, it's their offensive line, obviously. You know, and then it's Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Des Bryant, and Lawrence. Those are the at their you know, on offense at least at the skill positions, those are their stars. And if they're not on the field, they're not what they could be. And I think it's a shame, and it goes to point out that the situation with Colin Kaepernick is real. Is that some of these owners really do not believe, and the NFL don't believe that people should be kneeling. And they really believe, for whatever reason, that it's disrespectful to kneel. When in reality, if you just sit down and think for a minute, use your brain, it isn't. There's a difference between, I think the issue is that what people are doing is they're taking the result that people who, like Donald Trump, who have dodged being in the military for years. Donald Trump got out of being drafted into the military
5 times.
Right. And other people, you know, these other people, you know, who have never served in the military have this like staunch support of military, and I'm fine with that. You know, I'm fine with really supporting the military because I have family in the. I have a cousin in the Army and I have a cousin in the Air Force or the Navy. So I have no problem with being a big supporter of servicemen and women. I have no problem with respecting them because we should, because they've risked their lives, even if they weren't in combat. They've done, you know, they're serving our country, and they've done it well. So I have no, like, we should respect. But the thing is, what needs to happen is, and I don't know why it hasn't happened. I was actually talking with somebody about 2 weeks ago about this. What needs to happen is a group of black veterans really need to step out and make a statement saying, hey, you know, there's this person and this person who have no connection to the military saying that this is disrespectful to kneel during the anthem. But we are not disrespected. And in fact, we would kneel with Colin Kaepernick. We would kneel with these, you know, we would kneel with them because racial racism and police brutality are a thing in this nation, and we want to take a stand against it. And by kneeling during the national anthem, that, you know, so I mean, to me, that's one way that I don't think this is gonna go on for a while, and there's a potential lockout that's gonna happen in 2020 when this CBA ends. But we need we need military people who are in the military to speak out and let the nation know where. I imagine that there are some who may feel disrespected, but again, in reality, it's not disrespectful. But we just need a group of military, in particular, I'd say black veterans or current servicemen, to stand up and say, hey, Colin Kaepernick and everybody else who's kneeled, we stand with you. You know? And we realize why you're kneeling, and we're not disrespected, nor do we take offense to it. So this whole thing with the Cowboys it only goes to prove the point that Colin Kaepernick has gotten blackballed for standing against evil. Like, I don't know how you can get so mad at somebody for standing up against evil. You know? It just doesn't make sense to get mad at Colin Kaepernick and others who are kneeling for protesting evil. Like, if somebody said to me, there's evil going, like somebody's doing something evil, and and I want to protest it, right? And they decided that they're gonna, that they're not gonna. I don't know. They're not gonna come to my. They're not gonna come to my graduation or something like that. And that was their way of protesting. I don't know. I'm just making this up. Maybe I'd be a little bit upset, but they're protesting something that's evil, and if that's their way, that's their method of. If that's their method of protesting something evil, then by all means, go ahead and do it. Because it's something that's pure racism, police brutality, racial profiling. They're pure. It's evil. It's of the devil, literally. And I think another thing is we expect people who aren't necessarily of the same moral capacity as us to think in the same moral capacity that we think, and that's not realistic. But all this is to say that the fact that somebody's gotten kicked off the team for kneeling, because Colin Kaepernick didn't even, he's not on he doesn't have a job, or he didn't originally he didn't have a job. They couldn't get a deal done, and he wanted to become a free agent and see if he could get anything. And then after doing that, teams were like, no, there's no way that we're, now that you're off, now that you're no longer a member of the 49ers, there's definitely no way that we're signing you because of kneeling. Now that somebody's actually gotten kicked off, and the primary reason he's kicked off the team is because he knelt, I really want to know what that conversation was whenever it was on Friday, or not Friday, but on Wednesday or whenever, when they had this meeting, the owners, some players, and the commissioner and the Players Association. I really want to know what that conversation entailed, because it had to be a heated conversation, and hopefully something gets resolved, because if not, again, we're going to see, it's going to be a lockout, or probably both. It's going to be a lockout and people aren't going to be playing games and stuff, man. It's going to be crazy if this doesn't get resolved.
Just so we're clear, before I let Amina go, Colin was right. I've been calling an NFL lockout since last year, the year before that. Just saying. So go ahead, Amina.
It's my turn?
Yeah, Mac.
No, it's a Tooth Fairy's turn.
Round one, fight. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, Amina.
Oh, we're not going to fight. Last week was pretty crazy, but we're going to be good this week. Anyway, who does Jerry Jones think he is in this whole Cowgirls organization? Firing somebody because they did their own form of protesting. This is normal from Jerry Jones, mind you. That Sunday when all the when the owners and coaches and participated with the players on the teams, Jerry Jones was right there participating, locking arms, protesting, taking knees on film and pictures. But about a week or two later, it all changes. And they come to find out with research, the Dallas Cowboys is one of those teams that funded Donald Trump's presidential campaign. It all ties in. He's in Orange, Agent Orange back pocket. I don't know how much money he's getting paid by him, this, that, or third. But it's not surprising. It's Texas. You got the guy from the Houston, Texas, following in Dallas Cowboys footsteps too. It's crazy. So basically what you're saying is that, don't protest, don't do nothing, be seen but not heard. But as we've said on this podcast before, there's no universal way to protest. People have protested things since the beginning of time when they've disagreed on things, whether it was sitting in, um, taking their financial like means out of a business, um, picketing. Now we're taking knees, Black Power fists, writing letters. There's no one general way to protest. I mean, I don't expect anything grand from Texas. I mean, it's Texas. I mean, you don't get no more worse than that other than Florida, but that's another story. But to get rid of a player in the NFL for doing something that's perfectly legal within the parameters of their policies and rules, it's very interesting for this, and it did not get major exposure on social media, so it was pushed under the rug, and it's crazy, you know. The teams that financially supported Trump for his campaign trail are totally different than the ones that didn't, and it's coming out. I mean, Jerry Jones. I mean, anybody that's a football fan knows who he is and what he's about, and as years keep going on, and he just keeps getting worse. I don't know what's going on with him, like, other than the obvious. But it's flown under the radar because they just want to get rid of this movement. They would have probably preferred that Colin Kaepernick's movement got started last year in 2016, and it just stayed with Colin Kaepernick. I don't think they imagined the magnitude almost 2 years later, going into 2018, that it would have gotten as big and major as it's gotten. This movement is no longer an American United States situation anymore. I mean, you have people all over the world now participating in this. I think a few or maybe an entire sports team in Germany participated in this. And we talk about Germany, where Adolf Hitler's from. That speaks volumes. So they can't push it under the radar anymore. Anything concerning this movement, they can try to make it not as noticeable all they want. But at the end of the day, the purpose for it's gotten out now. People are starting to understand it, whether they like it or not. People know why the movement exists. People that don't like it are trying to get rid of it, and that's why Jerry Jones and his goons pushed it under the rug. But people like us, know what went on, and we're talking about it. I think it's going to be, well, we already know that the NFL is on the verge of a strike within the next 2, maybe 3 years tops. And I think, other than the players not being, paid as much as the NBA players, concerning their money and their contracts, I think that this movement is going to be the other major reason why a strike happens. Players are on one end of the field, team owners, coaches, and commissioners on the other end of the field. They're not seeing eye to eye, and it's just going to break the camel's back. This is going to be one of the reasons why the NFL goes on strike. We don't know when it will. They haven't made any decisions yet. But, yeah, this was pushed under the rug to try to get rid of the situation. You can't get rid of it. It's out there now. This is a movement that we're going to be talking about when we're up in age, and it's going to be talked about when we're longer gone by people that'll be living by then. This movement is not going anywhere, and to try to push it up under the radar is not happening. I'm sorry. And especially for the reason why Colin Kaepernick started this movement, it's definitely not going nowhere. This is here to stay. As I've said it time and time again, we haven't seen anything yet. This is only the beginning. It's only a year and a half since his movement got started, and it's just going to escalate. So we ain't seen nothing yet. I just, the whole ramifications of this won't be seen for years, guaranteed. But that's what I gotta say.
All right. Okay. Well. All right. Coming up next is the Sultan of Controversy, the king on this podcast of controversy, at Small Red Horn, because he's probably going to say something that's going to offend at least 5% of you. I'm gonna let him go right now. I've kept him chained up enough. Go ahead.
Well, how about this one? How about I'm gonna let you go because I'm on the back. You go ahead and I'll go right after you because I got a lot.
No, I already started. I already went. I already unloaded. You go ahead.
Okay, with that being said, I'll try to be safe on this one. Here's the deal. You cannot tell anybody what to do, how to do, when to do things. It ain't your call. Regardless. Now, mind you, everyone has a right to protest whatever it is the hell they want to protest. Number one. Number two, how dare anyone, and I mean anyone, you won't fire somebody because of a protest, because of their belief. It's like saying, well, we're going to fire you because you're a Muslim, or we're going to fire you because we don't agree with the fact of basically how you live your life. You can disagree with that all you wish, but at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day, what it boils down to is you cannot, you shall not, you will not fire somebody over the fact of protesting. Now, in a lot of places of employment, they can legally do that, unfortunately. However, here's where I feel the most passionate about this. How dare you, Jerry Jones? You try to have your cake and eat it too. You go ahead, make a grandstanding case of, well, I'm about my players and I'll kneel with them 1 minute, and the next minute you tell your players you can't kneel anymore. It's like saying, well, we did it, so right? Things should be okay, right? We should be singing Kumbaya, right? No, the only time we will ever sing Kumbaya freaking Ya, is when the stuff that we're kneeling about gets finally covered. It's done something about, and all we're asking, all we want is action. These players are using a platform that many of us do not have, albeit now with social media and everything, but their platform is a lot bigger. It's a whole lot bigger. So to fire somebody over the strength that thing about injustice, let me back up for a minute. Remember this. Tim Tebow took a knee, right? And mostly over abortion. And not one person batted an eye. Not one person said anything. It goes to this. So if white man does it, it's all well and good. Brother does it, it's a problem. And which goes back to this. So you want us as African Americans to be seen and not heard. Do what you're supposed to do, boy, or else you won't get this here whooping. That's how I'm taking it. Now, let's put it this way. people are talking about, politics and sports don't mix. Hello, Robert Kraft, Jerry Jones, and others have put money in their campaigns and money into 45's campaign. Okay, by the way, that's public record, and everybody and their mom can pretty much see that, unless you're anonymous. But that's public record. So, with that being said, right? You cannot have your cake and eat it too, Jerry Jones. You cannot have your cake and say, "Hey, we're doing this. Hey, look at us, we're doing this. We're in solidarity." And then next minute, you're not allowed to stand no more. Pick one or the other. Either you're for or with. For or against. Excuse me. And it's just no shock because it's the Dallas Cowboys. Those are attention-grabbing whores. That is the Dallas Cowboys. You know what they are. You know what it is. You know what they do. So I'm not surprised by them making this stupid move. It's the Cowboys. They're going to do something. If there's anything to do something stupid, it would be something like this. This is no shock. This is no surprise. So, as a black American, I don't know why everybody's shocked. This is no shock at all. So, you can have it. He can have it. But you know I know one thing. He wants a Super Bowl ring so bad, he'll sell a soul for it. And right now, he's doing a pretty damn good job of it. A pretty, very good job of it.
All right, moving right along then, to our recurring show theme for the past 2 weeks: schools behaving badly. Schools behaving badly. Today we're going to cover Deshaun Watson's alma mater and bane of Matt's existence, Clemson University. Some of y'all are wondering, well, Kylan, you've been killing Albright the last 2 weeks. What do you mean you're going to kill Clemson now? Well, my fans of this show, you know we never kill a college verbally without a prerequisite happening that causes us to talk about them. Clemson University decided to, not Clemson University, the Clemson University student body government, because we need to be correct when we coming for people. Got rid of the vice president of student government, who just so happened to be African American, because he refused to stand for the end. Oh my goodness! I can feel the steam coming from Matt's house right now.
You know what? You're doing right, but keep going. Keep going.
Before you go, I know you're ready to go because it's Clemson. Just let me give some demographics. Clemson is 7% black, so it is even less black than all of our alma maters and current schools put together. So
that's not a shock.
Albright, my alma mater, is 40% non-white, which I think may be the highest percentage, but I don't know. But you know, of all the schools here. But before I let Matt go in, because you can see he's ready to go. He's a native South Carolinian, and he wants to go in on Clemson. So before I have my seat and let the panel take over, I just want to say, as our church member would say, and a person's father on here, Matt, please keep your response to 2 minutes or less.
You know full darn well, because of South Carolina, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna happen. I might violate that by a minute and a half. Well, here you go. First things first. You lucky there's 40 coming. First things first, okay. How dare the Clemson University for even putting herself in this situation in the first place? You look, Kyle, you should rename this podcast to Stay in Lane Podcast in Sports, okay? Because here's why. Number one, if the student body is speaking out on an injustice for whatever reason, hold on. if a student body wants to speak out on an injustice, you shall not, I repeat, shall not infringe that right. How dare you? And oh, by the way, just to let you know, South Carolina State, Claflin University, and two other schools in South Carolina, there are HBCUs. Okay, Clemson and University of South Carolina is not one of them. So, to go ahead and do what it is that they did, it's unforgivable. I'm sorry. It's just not.
Trey, you ready?
Well, I have a question first to confirm something. So what exactly did Clemson? What they fired who?
They impeached their black vice president of their SGA for not standing for the national anthem. For not standing for just to be correct here. It wasn't the national anthem for not standing. Apparently, Clemson is the only college in America that actually still does the Pledge of Allegiance. I thought that died.
Hold on. I'm sorry to cut you off. I gotta say this too. I'm sorry about this. Also, this too. There is nowhere in the Constitution, there's nowhere in any law, anything of that matter that says I or anybody have to stand for the the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem. Who told? I don't have to do that. In fact, watch this. When the Flyers played the national anthem during the 70s, this is during Vietnam. No one stood. Everyone's just mulling around, standing around, disrespecting the national anthem. Because what was going on in Vietnam? There were protests in Vietnam. I mean, of course, instead they played God Bless America, and that became ours, but that's another story. But the point is, who told you, you would remove the vice president over what you feel? What you feel. Trey, take this mic before I go 8.
Yeah, anyway, Trey, as Matt said, it was because he refused to stand during the Pledge of Allegiance. Because apparently, like I said, Clemson is the only college in America that still does a Pledge of Allegiance. Because I know when I was in college, about 4 years, the rest of you can attest to it. If you, I don't know, maybe I was the only one. I never had to stand at all my college. Huh?
They're the only team that has what?
No, I don't know, but it seems like they might be the only college in America that still makes people stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Because I know I never had to do it in college.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah, the reason they impeached their vice president of their SGA is because he didn't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance when they did it, I guess, last week for their Sunday SGA meeting. That's why they got rid of him, and he was African American.
Huh. Okay. Wow. That's very interesting.
Before you go again, just to be fair to them, sort of like the Cowboys, they were covering themselves. The senator did say, one of the senators that introduced the impeachment did say it wasn't because of his stance. It was because of what he did and how they felt he was disrespecting the country. That was the only one that would go on record. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't need to repeat or bash over you guys' head how we all feel about either the national anthem or Pledge of Allegiance. I think it's you can't. What's happening in this country is we become very PC, very politically correct, right? And I think to an extent that's good. Right? Um, I I don't think we should when it comes to political issues, like if I believe one way and you believe another, there shouldn't be animosity towards each other. There should be um, we should be able to have a dialogue with each other, right? Um, and if, this is not, like you said, this is not the national anthem. This is the Pledge of Allegiance, which in my mind actually holds more weight than standing for the flag. Like standing for the flag supposedly says I respect and support those who have served in the past, right? The Pledge of Allegiance, which I don't understand at all, and at a certain point when I really thought about what it meant to pledge to a flag, I was like, wow, that's heavy because at my school when I used to up until I guess sixth grade when I moved over to middle school, and I don't know if the elementary does it anymore at the school I used to go to. Not at Toll Oaks, but another private Christian school. We stood and we pledged to the Christian flag, and we would pledge to the American flag. And I'll go and like pledging to the Christian flag. That's one thing, right? You're saying I'm pledging allegiance to God, the one who created you. On the other hand, by pledging to the American flag, you're saying like you're making a really bold statement by pledging to the American flag. You're saying I have no other allegiance but to the American, but to America. And saying I have no allegiance but to America is saying also that I'm okay with the state of America. And to fire to fire the VP of SGA, like it just doesn't make any sense. Like SGA is the Student Government Association, right? It's there kind of to give the students a little bit of a voice. It gives them an opportunity, to plan student events and that type of thing, and let each club kind of have a voice in what goes on to a certain extent. And to me, it's kind of ironic and counter-cultural in terms of what SGA stands for, to fire somebody because of because they didn't stand for the, or they didn't pledge to the flag. Like, it's just nonsense. However, it does make sense, like you pointed out, Kylan, in a school that's 7% African American. And I don't know if you've looked this up, Kylan, or if this number is what this 7% includes, but I'd imagine that some of that 7% is online students or people who commute. So it might even be, in terms of people who live on campus, it's probably even much less than that, which is scary when you think about that. But it's no surprise that an African American VP is fired, especially right because of what's going on right now in terms of the anthem, that he's gotten fired. So that's a shame too, because in a position like VP of SGA, that looks really good on your resume, because Clemson is such a widely known university because of their sports, and most people know what Clemson is. People are going to know that he's the one who got fired for not standing or not pledging to the flag. And so, that makes him look bad, even if he had no ill intention. It makes him look bad. And now, so when somebody looks at his resume and they know about that, they say, oh, he was on SGA. He was the VP of SGA, but because, he didn't pledge allegiance to the flag. I don't know if I want to hire him. and underneath.
He was probably voted in.
Exactly right. So I think all SGA positions are voted in, I believe, by the students themselves. So that's very it just, I mean, for lack of better anything else to say, it just doesn't make sense for someone to lose a position that really has some meaning on your resume and has some meaning in terms of this at school, and you know it just doesn't make any sense to get fired, not pledging, you know.
I got a question for you though. Put it this way: do you, since 45 is taking office, and we see everybody and their moms showing their behinds about how red their necks are and how racistly red they can be, don't you think that this country is really trying to revert itself back to its 1940s, 1950s roots, if not as far back as slavery?
I don't know, man. Like when you were saying, or you were talking about, you know, it's almost like we black people as minorities, you know, when we protest, people get scared because they know we have a point, and whether they whether they're against racism or whether they're for kneeling or don't want to stand, you know, don't believe in pledging allegiance to the flag or not. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And so by firing somebody, whether you're racist, whether you did it because he's black or just purely because there's a rule that says, you know, you must stand for, I mean, I don't know if there is, but like Colin is saying, you know, because there is some, you know, unwritten rule that you got to pledge allegiance to the flag at wherever. And, you know, if that's the pure, if it's just, I don't know. I can't even get my words together. Like that type of stuff still happens. Like, but I just, whoever's next. I guess Amina, you next. I think, right?
She's next, all right. After she puts herself to find out what.
Whose turn is it?
I think Amina, right?
It is hers.
Okay. Yeah, Colin and I talked about this once earlier today. It actually came to my attention like yesterday. I didn't think much of it, but it was more so on my mind today. In regards to the Pledge of Allegiance, Colin said that this school is the only college or whatever still in the country that does the Pledge of Allegiance. What Trey said, I have to commend him with concerning when you make a pledge to something, you're basically selling away your allegiance solely to that. You're saying I have no other loyalty or patriotism towards any other country, organization, entity, whatever. It's sort of like I do home care for the elderly. I took classes, nursing classes, and I got certificates for them. And I was taught by a registered nurse. Nurses take pledges, doctors take oaths. When you take an oath or a pledge, you're basically dedicating your life to what you're pledging or oathing to. That's why most people in the medical field, they don't leave it. People that do the law field, they don't leave it. It becomes a part of you. So when people pledge allegiance to the flag, they're basically saying F everything else, don't care about anything else, don't want nothing to do with nothing else. And what Trey also said about how you're saying that how things are going on in America, you're fine with it, you're in acceptance with it, yada yada. That's what you're also saying. I was in school when they were still doing the Pledge of Allegiance. From what I understand in Philadelphia schools, they don't do it anymore, I don't think. But when I was in elementary school and like the first half of middle school, they were definitely probably still doing it then. But definitely elementary school. Now, per my religion growing up, Muslim, Islam, whatever, I was taught by my parents that, out of respect, you just remain quiet while they're doing it, but I didn't participate in it. I would, either stand silent or sit and remain silent. So looking back on that, I was doing my own version of protesting at some point, not in a big movement, but I was the only one in my class that was not participating in that every morning when it was done before we started the school day. Now, in regards to this school, this college, Pledge of Allegiance got to go. Point blank, period. It has no place in this country, especially in a post-secondary education institution where you have a diverse population regardless to their demographics, percentages. Not everyone feels the same about pledging and oathing to things. People come from all walks of life, and you have to understand that. People come from cultures all over the world. People come to colleges and universities in America all over the world. Not everyone has the same belief system or shares the same values or principles concerning politics. And we have to respect that. That's why it's different political parties and such. In high school, I was a member of student government at my alma mater, multicultural. Also at the trade school I went to, I was also in student government. I know how student government goes. It's volunteer basis. You sign up for it. The school administration checks your background as far as at the school, as far as your academics and behavior and whatnot, and your conduct and all that. And they weed out who to select or whatever. So it's not anybody that's selected for student government. Obviously, this student was a well-rounded student to be, from what I understand, the vice president of his school's student government association. The student government association is in place to give the student body a voice that's typically not heard on campus and outside of campus. To let a member of student government go for something like the Pledge of Allegiance, which I don't know why they're still doing it at this school.
It's South Carolina. They're 20 years behind.
More like 100, but but we're not gonna go there. But it shows that the school is just behind the times. To be seen and not heard era is
Sweetie, that state, the whole entire state is 20 to 25 years behind. In fact, I went back there. It was like this. I left there in '94. I came back in 2014, and it's like as if I never left. I swear to God. I swear, that's how it felt like.
Yeah, but it seems to be like, I don't know what's up. Like, for all I know, the school should have used that as a learning experience to educate the student body, give them platforms to speak on what they feel like. Because it's parts of the Pledge of Allegiance that don't even make sense when it comes to non-Caucasians in this country. It's a part in there that says, freedom and justice for all. We've been in this country for 500 years. When have we ever received justice as Black people? We see that every day, especially the last several years, especially since Trayvon Martin in 2012. Numerous, hundreds of Black people murdered by police officers and not one convicted. Where's the freedom and justice for all in that? Under one God. Last time I checked, some people don't claim the higher being. This is when the Pledge of Allegiance was made. America was a Judeo-Christian based country. But now you have a large population.
Not really. People think that this country. People think that this country
started out more so that, but now it's more diverse. But now you have millions of Muslims across the country. You have Hindus, Buddhists. You have different sects of fundamentalist groups. All sorts of people that don't share the same values that the Pledge of Allegiance says. Not everyone has the same experience in America. As a Black youth, I've been followed around stores by law enforcement because of my race and obviously my young age. But a youth of the Caucasian race, I can guarantee you would not have gone through that. So where's the equality in that? The Pledge of Allegiance, it's got to go. I mean, it has, in my opinion, it has no place in this country. It doesn't represent everyone that lives here. It has no universal meaning. And for the school to get rid of this student government member, it shows that they don't care about anything other than money and student quotas. They should have used that as a learning experience rather than a political experience. Used it to teach the students the reality of what's up, what's going on in this country for those that still haven't waken up. But for him to be let go, it shows also that the school just has no desire to change. And the world is changing. We're going into a new decade very soon. Things are moving. And that school needs to catch up or just be left behind.
I just want to be clear. As I said, this is the only college that I know of that is still doing the Pledge of Allegiance. That's why I said I know I never did it all right. I don't know what y'all did at y'all schools. I know I didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance at. The Pledge of Allegiance for me stopped once I got to high school. I did it elementary and middle school. We stopped doing it in high school. So this is why it's a little bit weird for a college to still be doing the Pledge of Allegiance, especially as Amina pointed out, with all the different diverse people that are in college campuses. But again, this is South Carolina, so we're going to go on. So let me put my piece in, and then we'll move on. I thought this was weird, for South Carolina, as I said, not South Carolina, Clemson, to do this, especially because, again, it wasn't the school, just like what happened at Albright. It was people who have a a person who has a very warped sense of patriotism, which I'm sure developed because people in the military or something, family or something, that just like they just feel that, you know, they feel like sitting down during the Pledge of Allegiance just spits in the face of all the military members that they've ever known. But that is the influence of people like Jerry Jones, like 45, saying these people are SOBs for not respecting the country and all that stuff. People who never served a day in their lives. The one thing I respected President Obama for, since he was the last president that was in office that didn't have a military service. One thing I respected him for is that he didn't try to just warp patriotism. Patriotism wasn't just warped for his own satisfaction, right? And it seems like 45 just does what he wants, man. He says what he says, and people believe him. And now we have this new patriotism, this McCarthyism-like patriotism, right? I like history. I'm a student of history. I said when this man started that he was a reincarnation of Representative Joe McCarthy, and he's proven it, man. You know, immigrant is becoming a bad word. Kneeling during the anthem is becoming a bad word. Sitting down during the Pledge of Allegiance it's like it's a new thing. Like nobody's ever sat through the Pledge of Allegiance before. Like we don't live in America. And for this dude to just get, and this is the last thing on this, and then we'll go back to sports. For this dude to get canned, impeached, because he didn't show respect during the Pledge of Allegiance, something he shouldn't have had to do in college. Because we stopped after high school. Most people are out of habit of saying the Pledge of Allegiance, as Amina pointed out, after middle school, because we don't do it in high school. There's not too many people that I know of that were still pledging allegiance in high school. Even fewer that I know were pledging allegiance in college to a flag. Now I know it's Clemson. I know this is a school that has Dabo Sweetie in it, the weirdest coach in America. I know that this is a school with very different beliefs. But this is a horrible PR nightmare. It's exactly what happened to Albright, right? Somebody with a warped sense of patriotism that got rid of a black person for doing nothing but not respecting the flag. Can somebody explain to me what respecting the flag looks like? Because if you actually look at the code, we disrespect the flag daily. When they have that flag draped horizontally before the NFL game from side to side, according to the flag code of this country, that's disrespectful to the flag. Anytime that any of y'all during the 4th of July wear the flag on your t-shirt, or you drape yourself in the flag and shout USA, USA during the Olympics, during the 4th of July when you're doing the fireworks display, you're disrespecting the flag. So the same people that say Colin Kaepernick is disrespecting the flag, say this young man was disrespecting the flag, are probably the same people that every 4th of July, every Olympics, every World Cup disrespect the flag daily. You know,
people got bikinis and boxers, you know, with the American flag.
Right. I'm so sick of these people who don't know anything about flag etiquette.
Even worse with the ALCS when the Houston Astros won the World Series, won the birth of the World Series, when the players had a flag draped underwear. And on top of that,
yeah, just the underwear, boxers and briefs, you know, bikinis.
And on top of that, any flag that hits the ground is supposed to be burnt anyway.
So y'all don't even know what y'all talking about, but yeah, you impeaching people because they don't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. This is America, not Nazi Germany, not North Korea, not China. This is America. And you should be able to do what you want. This man should have his VP ship back. And you know what? He shouldn't even want it, just like Jairi Durant. But he need to be doing something. He need to sue that senator that brought that up against him, because this is America. This isn't anything else, man. Clemson should be ashamed of themselves to even allow it. And again, it wasn't the school; it was the SGA. But Clemson, the body needs to come in and do something. All right, so we can move back on to sports. Gonna let Matt. We're gonna move around some things right now. Matt, go ahead and do your.
Well, speaking of which, I'll get to this part, number one, before I get to the World Series. Joe Girardi got, how can I put this? Will not be brought back as a Yankees manager. Now, upon hearing this, I was a bit perplexed because this is a man who did win the World Series in 09 against the Phils. I mean, this man has some moderate success and weathered the storm with this transitional period. Now, watch this. Here you go. I thought he was doing a pretty good job. He got the Yankees to the LCS, albeit he lost to the Astros. But according to various places, there were errors pointing the fact that the Yankees were not looking to bring him back. Honestly, I think it's a terrible move. I think it's a bad move. I think what Joe Girardi got this team playing, they got them playing well. Aaron Judge, which by the way, he big man, his swings. Biggest complaint is he strikes out too much. But other than that, I think that move, which the Yankees are known for knee-jerk reactions, they're known for it.
Girard Avenue,
so
15.
I feel as though that move was just unjustified. Flat out, not bring him back. At least sign him into a 1-year deal until they find a suitable replacement that they can bring it internally or otherwise that knows how to get this core group of guys to play the way they need to play. But it's the Yankees; they're unpredictable, and just like this, the late George Steinbrenner. Let's see what Cashman does, and let's see the GM Cashman. Let's see what the Yankee brass do because this is flat out outrageous. Number one. Number two, I'm on my way home trying to catch this World Series real quick if I can. But if you're not watching the World Series, you should be. Game 1 was a gem. Clayton Kershaw pretty much hushed his critics and said, okay, you think I can't win the game? Take this. Boom. Man threw 11 strikeouts. And his curveball was like, I mean, if I was up there, my knees would have buckled, honestly. Like, Kershaw was the man in that. And first of all, the game started with 103-degree heat in the Savage Ravine, number one, which is the hottest game 1 in series history. And number 2, it was a pitcher's duel in game 1. Game 2 was a 12-inning affair that, this is becoming one that became classic. This is becoming one of the classic World Series I've ever seen. I'm seeing right now. If you're not watching this series right now, you have lost your cotton picking mind. You have lost your damn mind. Because let me be honest with you. You look, their pitching staffs is good. The lineup is awesomely good on both sides. I mean, it can go either way, but I'm still taking Dodgers in 6. So, if you are not watching this series, if you are not paying attention to this series, you should be right now. In fact, Colin should be talking about this right now. I mean, I would love to hear his view, but he's gonna be hushing. I know he's gonna be hushing about it.
Colin believes that it's gonna be Astro 6.
So. You got the Astros in 6. Ooh.
That's So that's why y'all need to talk.
The Dodgers, who have not won since '88, and the Astros, who have not won one yet. Look, it's a series to watch. Bottom line, it's a series to watch. But Kyle's not gonna talk about it because it's Kyle, and so I mean, he just knows this on the NBA, and get my blood boiling and stuff like that. But that's another story.
NBA.
Oh, hush your face.
Whatever, man. You know the Astros in six, the best offense with the best pitcher. Verlander gonna shut them down.
I mean, Verlander pitched game too. He pitched very well, believe it or not. So, but full well that lineup is potent up and down on both sides. You know this.
It is, but the Astros are the better team. With the Astros are the better team. They don't have the best record, but the Astros are the better team, and they're gonna come out in 6 or 7, give Houston a title after all it's been through. That's what's gonna happen.
Did y'all put up a bet yet?
This series is too close to call, dear. Because I'm gonna say this to you, right? That Dodger rotation particularly its bullpen, is the best in baseball. And Kelly Jansen as their closer, you don't want to mess with. Versus former Phil Ken Giles, which by the way, he's a good pitcher in and of himself. So, but I think it's an evenly matched series. And I'm taking Dodgers in 6. Why? Because I think that Dodger pitching staff is a lot better, particularly in the bullpen, than it is the Astros.
We'll see, man. All right, that was Bats baseball update. What we doing? Amina, since you're putting everybody else on the spotlight, she's gonna talk about an issue that's near and dear to her heart. Go ahead, Amina. Talk about Zaya, however you say her name.
Zaya. Zaya is a little girl that now she's a former student. She's a 8-year-old second grader at my former elementary and middle school, which is the Mathematics, Civics, and Sciences Charter School on 447 North 4th Street, Spring Garden, right across the street from the school district headquarters building. The school's been open for 18 years now, since September of 1989. The school's founder and CEO is Ms. Veronica Joyner. It's a lot I could say about my years I spent at her school. My dad used to be a security guard at the school during my early time at the school. He left after he found better employment. She paints a picture of her school where she likes to say, I'm one of the top 10 charter schools in the state of Pennsylvania. She, from the last I heard and found out, it's between 10 and 15,000 children on her school's waiting list. But the school can only hold 1,000 students. She likes to tote around the different things she offers. She does a homeless project where once or twice a week the students go out and give food and clothes to the homeless in the area. And she has a school basketball team. She paints this picture of her school that it's A1. But with all good things, there's bad. And the bad tremendously outweigh the good that come from her school. I myself was bullied at her school. She actually called the Philadelphia Police Department on me up to the school when I was 9 years old. And that's not supposed to happen for a 9-year-old in the city of Philadelphia. Because you can't arrest a 9-year-old, they have to be 10. But what goes on in her school is that children are harassed, bullied, persecuted. Cases of it. They date back since the school been open for 18 years now, all pushed under the rug. The students in the school that are bullied and persecuted, they usually get suspended, or just plain kicked out of school. But the students that are terrorizing the students, they get to stay at the school to continue their madness. Students are known to be harassed not only in the school, but in the block radius of the school. When I was there, I don't know if it's still happening, but Benjamin Franklin High School across the street will come across the street when it was early in the school year, when it was still nice outside, and the end of the school year when it would start getting nice again. They would come across the street, jump us, and we would return fire with them and jump them. It was one of the most known things. Since I left the school, I thought it would be chilled, but apparently not. I still kept in contact with former schoolmates and people I had in my grade. And I still talk to a few people from the school that I went to the school with, and they said that stuff still remained. She has a so-called zero tolerance situation at her school, but it's not enforced. Since this situation, this big situation now with the girl Zaya, she's now in another school. Her family withdrew and placed her elsewhere. Parents that currently have their children in the school are coming out saying the exact same things that people that went to the school when I went to the school, and parents are saying, and it's ridiculous that after 18 years the same problems persist. A parent, I just recently went on the post that the grandmother and mother made concerning little Zaya, that one of Zaya's former classmates was also bullied at the school and came home with lumps and very dark, noticeable bruises on her body from another student. But the student got away with it. But it's ridiculous. Usually, it's the students that Ms. Joyner favors at her school that are the bullies. Ms. Joyner is a well-known educator in the city of Philadelphia and around the country. She's been in the education business for roughly, I would say, between 30 and 40 years top. Since the 70s, she's been involved in education. She born and raised in North Philadelphia. She went to Philadelphia schools. She has a son, grandchildren, nieces, and nephews. Her relatives send their children to the school, but her relatives' children, they never get in trouble for anything. One of her nephews was in my grade. His father was a janitor at the school. That's nepotism when you talk about politics. To have your relatives on your payroll at a school that you're supposed to be, running. She hires her relatives and her friends at the school before she will hire an appropriate applicant, this doesn't have conflict of interest, so to speak. Her grading system at the school is tremendously poor. It's the worst grading system I ever seen in my life from any school I ever went to. Teachers are banned from giving out anything lower than C's in her school. When I say banned, I mean on everything. Report cards, progress reports, transcripts, assignments, test quizzes, projects, you name it. A student at her school can only receive an A, B, or C. these Fs are banned, which I don't know how or why, but her school motto is failure is not an option, which I guess is kind of true when you can't get a D or F in your school. Students graduate from her school. The school is a 1st through 12th grade school. Students graduate her school as seniors. They go off to colleges and universities, but they end up coming back to her school to get tutoring lessons from the high school teachers for reading, math, and science because they were not well equipped before being allowed to get a diploma. I don't know what's going on with the teachers in the school right now concerning their qualifications, but when I was there, or shortly before I got there, because I got to the school when it was open for the second year, I wasn't there the first year. As years to follow after I left there, the first years, I know for a fact that she had teachers working in her school that were not qualified. When I say not qualified, I'm talking about she would hire students, recent graduates, that have no professional teaching experience, not licensed by the state, didn't go to college for teaching, to work in school. She would hire people from the street. They were unlicensed teachers. They may have went to school but didn't finish. So basically, your children were suffering academically along with her poor grading system that you would not know was impacting your child until you pulled them out and sent them elsewhere and you discovered that your child was academically behind. But the big problem that everyone that I know, including myself and my parents, have with her school is that the school turns your children out. You send your child to this school, an angel, and they come out this different person because Veronica Joyner instills fear into bullied students. She told me one year when I was at her school that I was not allowed to defend myself on school property, that I had to take the punches, the bruises, just take it all, but run to a staff member, tell the staff member, and they'll handle it. I wasn't raised that way. I was raised where you fight with those that fight with you. Someone aggresses upon you, you stand up and defend yourself. The first survival was the first law of self-preservation. That's what I was raised with, but that's not her concept. Her concept is where she doesn't want you to lay a finger. But she doesn't mind students getting bullied. Now, this situation with Zaya, Zaya came to the school last year when she was a first grader. This year she's a second grader, so it was her second year. From what I understand, Zaya was slapped across the face by an older student last year, and she was harassed by two older male students on the school bus last year when she was in first grade. This year she's in second grade, and this situation happened on the school bus with a fifth grade girl. Now, fifth graders in the city of Philadelphia, if they're 10 or 11, they can be illegally arrested. So that's why it's a big thing now. The fifth grader attacked little second grade-year-old Zaya on the school bus and ripped her hair out. When I say ripped her hair out, I mean literally follicles and all. Like, she has patches in her hair now. The mother and grandmother of Zaya, they got in contact with Veronica Joyner, who's the founder and CEO of MCSES. They pushed it under the rug. They tried to get Zaya to write a statement saying that the situation never really happened. It was a big misunderstanding. The girl that attacked her produced tears in the office, and they contacted, some communication was done between Zaya's mom and grandmom with the school, and they said that The girl was remorseful. She was crying, and the situation is over. But Zaya has been through other instances at this school that were unresolved along with this. So Zaya's family are now contacting the news, and they're taking this possibly to the state. It is very disappointing, and it was bound to happen. I was praying that a parent that currently had their child or children in the school would come forward and it'd be a big thing, because this is a woman that's known in the education community in the tri-state area in Philadelphia. I mean, she's known. People, if you don't know who Veronica Joyner is in Philadelphia, like, I don't know, like, where you are. She doesn't like criticism of her school. From my understanding, she's still practicing some of the same tactics at her school that she did when I was there. When I was there, students were required to perform for guests, her visitors or whatever, where she had guests, typically from City Hall, politicians, people from the city radio stations. I mean, Tom Joyner and Patty Jackson were her favorites. All these people will come to the school to see and visit. I mean, Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton would come to our school quite often. Philadelphia School District former CEO Paul Vallis, back in the day when I was at the school, he would visit often. We would have to stand up, stop what we were doing, say good morning to these guests that we really didn't want to say anything to, and do academic drills, pledges, skits, sort of like circus monkeys. And when they left the room, we had to be all cute and smile and say, thank you for coming, all this, that, and the third. But the big thing is the bullying aspect, the harassment. She doesn't deal with problems, and stuff has been going on in her school for 18 years since the door opened, and ain't nobody, and she just doesn't want to deal with these problems. So parents are on Facebook. I mean, the post the girl's grandmother and mother made has hundreds of comments and hundreds of shares. Just parents, whether they're former parents or current parents, myself, former students, even some current students that are all saying the same things. How Joyner is a narcissistic nepotism lover. She doesn't support people that are aggressed upon in her school. My parents were up at her school numerous times in meetings dealing with situations involving me that happened at the school. As a Muslim, I wore sometimes hijab to school. I had my Muslim garb ripped off on the school bus by a student that was two years older than me, and nothing was done about it. Joyner knew about it. She didn't do nothing about it. I was in 5th grade. This girl was in 6th grade. Students get beat up on school buses. Nothing happens. Get beat up in classrooms. Nothing happens. When I was probably in the 3rd grade at the school, a girl got sexually assaulted in the bathroom. Nothing happened. The media didn't know. Law enforcement didn't know. And I highly doubt that Joyner called the girl's parents. So Zaya's mother and grandmother inspired an entire school community that had went to this school to come out and say how they feel with no sugarcoating it. I mean, this is a woman who parades around the city of Philadelphia acting as though her school is A1 and perfect, but it's not. people hear the so-called good things about our school, but it's really not good. I tell people, you want to know about a school, the best two sources to ask are former students and former parents. And I can guarantee you, former students or former parents are going to tell you the truth about the school. And they are. Joyner is very scared. A few years ago, I think it was shortly after I graduated from high school, Joyner was visited by the media. I don't know which station came to the school, but she wouldn't let them come into the building. I'm talking about one of the news stations here in Philadelphia. I forget which one. They wanted to seriously talk about her because they received a list of complaints about her school. She wouldn't let them in the building. She put her hand in front of the camera, and they went about their business. My thing is, everything that's done in the dark comes to light. She's not going to be able to get away with this much longer. I mean, now Zaya, her family have got in contact with a lawyer. So hopefully they're going to sue the school and sue Miss Veronica Joyner and get the situation truly dealt with. But Ms. Joyner has a situation where she likes to admit students of police officers, students whose parents are police officers, firefighters, students whose parents work at City Hall, or students whose family does business with her. Those, and also her relatives' children. So those students get away with everything under the sun. She doesn't deal with that. But any other student, like myself, that just a student just coming off the street, she would suspend and expel you quicker than a New York second. She has an image that she's trying to, preserve or whatever, but it's not really an image. It's fake. So little Zaya, she cried to her mother and grandmother that she did not want to go back to that school. She cried that she did not want to go back to the school bus, which is highly understandable because I didn't want to be on the school bus either much longer because I was persecuted and everything. It's very unfortunate because this is one of the most well-known charter schools in the city of Philadelphia. So when it truly gets out there, it's going to explode, and that's going to be the beginning of the end of Veronica Joyner, as far as an education community in this city. Parents, they just don't have anything great to say about her or former students, whether they graduated from the school or not. I graduated elsewhere, but little Zaya is in another school right now, but her family are still going to pursue legal action, and the news is going to get involved with this because it's time. She's a victim, and hundreds of other students are also victims, including myself. I mean, Veronica Joyner is very disrespectful. I mean, she went from calling the Philadelphia Police Department on me up to the school. She spit in my face when I was about 9 or 10 in the hallway and told me, "You just got back off of a suspension. Don't make me suspend you again." Mind you, I got suspended for standing up for myself because I was being bullied and physically assaulted in her school. And she went to tell me in private that I'm going to call the cops up here again so they can put handcuffs on you, take you to police headquarters on Race and Vine. down the street. So, this woman is crazy, She paints this picture, like I said, that her school's perfect, but it's not. And I'll be so glad when this school's closed because one too many children have suffered, and Zaya has inspired a movement from the school community to really get this woman exposed and get her out of business. But that's what I gotta say.
Sometimes it's bigger than what we do here. We are a family. If you don't get that sense from this podcast, we care about each other. We talk on and offline, and when I asked Amina to do this, I didn't think she would go in so deep and personal with what happened at that school. And it doesn't matter that it took half hour to 45 minutes. Sometimes you just gotta go in, and we put arms and pray for our sister as she recovers from all the various things that happened in that school. And we are with the girl, with Zaya. It's unfortunate whenever anything happens to a child and they're not protected as far as bullying and anything else. But we're gonna try and end this on a happier note because it is 11:25. So some of these questions will be moved back as a result. So wrap up with one Sixers question and one Eagles question. And the most pressing one that I know is on every Sixers fan's mind is, what's going on with Markelle Fultz? Let's ask everybody to keep it to stay on with time. Let's start with Matt. Go ahead, Matt.
What's going on with his arm? The fact that there's something's in there, and look, to be honest with you, this is nothing new when it comes to the Sixers health department, health staff. Everything was fine. Everything was looking good. And then all of a sudden, one day, he's shooting funny at the line. Look, I think the Sixers need to take their time with this one. Like any other draft pick that they came up with, they need to take their time with Markelle Fultz because it is an 82-game grind. It is what it is. So with that being said, I think they're draining fluid out of his shoulder right now, and look, do not rush this kid back. We have a lot of time. We have a lot of season to play, and this team is already fun to watch. It is already. So if I were the 76ers right now, do not. I kid you not. Do not rush this because you've been doing a good job of not rushing injuries. Don't get me wrong, but do not rush this one too. Do not. And again. Is involved in his personal trainer on sports radio the other day talking about like he knew nothing of what was going on. Everything was fine. This happened probably in the game, but I think the Sixers staff they just look. Just do your job and do not rush this kid. Just don't. We have a lot of season to play. We have a lot of time. This team's going to the playoffs. Don't get me wrong, but we cannot have faults at a busted predicament at this point. We just cannot. We cannot afford this. I know LA right now, Mount Philadelphia is talking about another first round injury. Look, it is what it is at this point. So let's not rush this. Calm down. And just trust the process. Hashtag TTP. Hashtag trust the process, people. Jeez Louise.
Trey. Trey, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm not concerned about Markelle Fultz. I mean, I know that he's going to be a good player going forward. I think what the Sixers need to do is let him develop as a player, and by messing with jump shot or whatever other things they're doing, well, you're messing with his ability to develop as a player. So we know that he's got a lot of potential, right? he's got Damian Lillard type potential. And we've got to allow him to develop. You know, he was a relatively unknown player until last year. Most people didn't know who he was. And in my opinion, because of that and the fact that he's so young, I think he's 22, 23. You got to give him he's not LeBron. LeBron was ready to go in the NBA in his junior year in high school. He's not LeBron. So from a fan's perspective, we can't expect him to be ready, ready to be, the star player that he can be right away, because that's just not reasonable. I mean, Giannis is a star now. And I mean, he wasn't a star in his first or second year. He only really came into stardom in the last 2 years. So, I mean, I'm not worried about Markelle Fultz. I think he's going to be a great player for us for a long time, and he has a lot of potential. All the Sixers have to do is just let him develop as a player. Don't change his shot. Don't do any of that. He'll be fine, all right? And in the NBA, I ain't never heard of a player changing their shot, other than maybe Steph Curry, who changed his shot due to pressure on his ankles because he's got bad ankles. Markelle Fultz ain't got bad ankles. Let him develop and grow into the player that he's going to be for the rest of his career.
Amina?
Yeah, I feel what Trey just said about just letting him develop, continue developing his skill, and we'll see, how it goes. There's years left in him, many years, prime of his career. So we'll see where he goes as time goes on. It's too early to tell what type of true success he'll be, but he'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, we have. I think if it's bad enough, then they just need to. He just need to take the red shirt, as most Sixers players have done, not named Jahlil Okafor. So he just needs to take the red shirt, I believe. Need to take the red shirt. They need to. I agree. They need to not rush him. Just let him get his shoulder drained, have some shoulder surgery if he needs it, because he was relatively fine throughout the season. I would say just let him rest up and come back. They have a good trio coming along. If he can come in and match his game with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, we should have a really good team. Trust the process. TTP, live in the moment. Moving right along to our last question. We're going to save the Carson Wentz and Ben Simmons questions for next week. Are the Eagles really the best team in the NFL? I'll start. They are the best team in the NFL until further notice. They are 6-1. Hopefully, I'm not setting myself up for a disappointment, because I'm saying they're 6-1. And they have the 49ers coming up. Hopefully they don't look past the 49ers. They'll be 7-1 before they face the Cowboys next week, because we do need them to have a good team. And this game coming up with the 49ers is a game the Eagles tend to lose, because they're coming off of 2 big victories, and they're 6-1. They're feeling themselves. But this year's Eagles team, I feel like is a mirror of Philadelphia. Like, they're blue collar, they're hard working, they don't say nothing. See, like Doug Peterson, and not just Carson Wentz has found the spot. We know Carson Wentz Dini. He is a good player. He has come a long way in his second year. Hopefully, he continues developing and stays healthy. But right now, we just need to come in focus, because we already got enough injuries, especially on our offensive line. Losing Peters. Hopefully, Trey's boy Vitae could be a valuable addition until Peters comes back. But I'm excited. I hope they are 6-1. They are the best team in the NFL until further notice. They are, and we're just getting stronger. Ronald Darby will hopefully be back next week, and Sidney Jones will be coming in hopefully after the bye week. We'll have full strength in the cornerback position, which is truly our weakest position. So I think that we'll be good, and maybe definitely we'll probably make the playoffs. But dare I say it, the word that Matt and them know, I am not trying to throw around, but dare I say it, the Eagles are looking like a Super Bowl contender.
I knew he was going to say it.
I don't want to. I'm skeptical, but they are looking like a Super Bowl contender, and I don't. I don't throw that out there without knowing what I'm about to say. Go ahead, Matt.
As of right now, the Philadelphia Eagles is right now the best team in football according to their record. Now, you can make the argument that the New England Patriots are the best team, or as far as power records is concerned, that it's Patriots 1 and Eagles 2, which I beg to differ because right now this team is playing on all cylinders. Their run defense, believe it or not, has been very, very good, and Carson Wentz is playing out of his mind right now. I am glad that I picked him up on a free agent wire on one of my fantasy teams, and I'm looking pretty good so far. Other than that, this team is as of right, like now with Aaron Rodgers out, with Seattle's going to get their they're going to get their stride later down the road. The NFC South is the NFC South. Who knows what the hell's going on with them? Dallas is Dallas. This Eagles team is peaking at the right time. And yes, and I agree with Kyle on the fact that he had 2 big victories against the Panthers and the Deadskins. This is a trap game, and the Eagles got to take care of business. Even though this 49er team is winless, hapless, whatever less you can put in there, they have to take care of business. You take care of business Sunday against this 49er ball club, and I'm not spouting the word Super Bowl contender just yet. Why? Because once you get out of that bye, that's when you have another tough stretch. Okay, so especially against those Cowgirls, which by the way they should beat this team, and Ezekiel Elliott will get suspended eventually. You know it's going to happen. But back to the Midnight Green. As of right now, this is the best team right now, and I expect this team to not only win the division, but at least have a first round bye by the time this is all said and done. I said it. I'm not going as far as saying Super Bowl team because we have yet to see what this team can really do.
Trey?
Man, I mean, I mentioned that was one of the first things I mentioned when we first started this podcast, man. The Eagles have a game coming against the 49ers, man, and this is one of those games where I don't really believe in trap games. I believe it's one of those games where you can play down to your competition, and hopefully the Eagles won't do that. But going forward, man, I think we're going to struggle a little bit through these next games. But the camaraderie that this team has right now is amazing, man. I mean, I can't imagine how great the chemistry is and how great it would be to be in the locker room before and after one of their games right now. I mean, and as fans, we're satisfied, and everything's going well in our favor, and we all know as Philly fans, just in general, how it seems like Philly always seems to let us down when we're riding high. But this team, there's always you look at a team like the Eagles or the Sixers or whatever, and you say, if there's something wrong about this team, something's just not right. And I don't see that with this team, man. Like all around, we've got weaknesses at the cornerback spot. Jordan Hicks is out, Jason Peters is out, but all around, man, I mean, we're a pretty darn balanced team. And when you have a balanced team in the NFL, you're going to win games, and that's why we're 6-1. Good coaching. Early on, we were questioning Doug Peters' play calling in terms of pass run ratio. That hasn't been an issue. Carson Wentz is improved tremendously, is an MVP and is the leading MVP candidate. Zach Ertz is, ironically, if you look at last year's stats and you compare him to this year's stats, he actually has gotten better because he's catching more touchdowns. But if you look at what he did in 14 games last season while he was injured, and you compare it to this year, he's actually to do just about what he did last year. It's just that he's catching more touchdowns. But I mean, this team is for real, and they are the best team in the league, not just by record, just by balance. If this team was completely healthy right now, and we were to play the Chiefs right now, healthy, or even just right now without Jason Peters and without Jordan Hicks, we win. Just because of chemistry and balance. We didn't have that balance and that fortitude to go into a fourth quarter and hold on and win a game. And now we do. We've shown it against the Panthers. The defense played well in that game. And we've shown it against the Reds. Time and time again, this team has showed that we are for real. I won't say Super Bowl just yet. I think we have the balance to get to the Super Bowl, but I'm really excited about what this team can do going forward. And even if we only, we make the playoffs and we win our first game, I'd be satisfied with that because I know next year what we can do in the draft and free agency we're only going to get better. There's the floor for this team is really high, and the ceiling is even higher.
Amina?
The hometown team. I'm proud of them. According to SEPTA, on the front of their buses, I've noticed they say Eagles Super Bowl champions. I mean, I seen it on the Route 14 bus a couple days ago. So I guess SEPTA's kind of, doing up for, that. But the Eagles, they are doing remarkable this season. They are doing better than they have been the last several years. Carson Wentz is in his second year on the team, and he's really showing it off. I feel as though this is a well-oiled machine team, chemistry-wise, where they know what they're doing, they go out and play, and they get the job done.
So much for you Raiders.
Shut Kylie, can I beat him up? Anyway, back to what I was saying.
You were both free to have a Mortal Kombat death match eventually before the year's out, but not right now.
It was going good the whole night, but he just had to say something. I don't know what's wrong with him sometimes. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, the chemistry is going well. I'm proud of him. And as Trey said, even if they do get to the playoffs and just win one game, that's a tremendous accomplishment. and that they'll make necessary adjustments to go even further than the playoffs if that's where they get to this season for their the end of their season. But I wish them well.
For
They
anyone
finally
that says that they will go to the playoffs, win one game, and then lose, you may have a point. But dang,
look. They haven't been to a Super Bowl since Andy Reid, and they lost that.
Listen, they're gonna go. We'll see, man. They're gonna have the best record in the NFC. The only games I can see them losing is the one to the Broncos, maybe the Raiders, but I doubt it. The Seahawks not really with that offense.
you know what? I don't lie. That Seattle defense is leaking oil, but if they click at the right time, they'll give the Eagles trouble. I expect the Eagles to lose to either to the Broncos or the Raiders. Hopefully, not the Raiders, but
Well, listen, they're not going. They usually get up for big games, like Christmas and Thanksgiving, and they're not on Thanksgiving this year. They're gonna beat the Raiders on Christmas. Sorry.
of course.
They're gonna beat the Raiders on Christmas. If they lose one game, if they lose another game to somebody in the AFC West, it'll be towards the Broncos.
Yeah.
Broncos are like the Seahawks. They have a stud defense and a horrible offense. So the
One
Eagles
question
win.
is: are the Eagles playing the Broncos on the road?
I think they're playing at home.
Oh, that's a win then.
I think they're playing at home, but I'm not sure. Actually,
If it's on,
I think that's the last game before the bye week. The Broncos. But anyway, so we got that. We got the Cowboys coming up. We already went in on the Cowboys. Thank you guys for joining us. The questions or the topics that y'all got to look forward to next week. It's been Simmons for real. We're going to continue with our Sixers update. Probably get in on the Greek Freak and his stud performance. But that's next week and whatever the sports world has for us. Oh, and college basketball is coming back too. I know Trey's Gators. I know Trey is excited for his Gators, so we will see what happens with that. College basketball, we'll get to that eventually. And everything else, man, we are basically done. Yeah, I want to thank Amina, Trey, and Matt. Once again, we had a full cast finally. As we said,
there should be a World Series winner by next week.
right, there should be a World Series winner next week. We'll get into some Matt. Once next week wraps up, Matt will be into NHL mode. So all my hockey will get to you next week. We promise. Yeah. So as we said, within the next 2 weeks, a year is coming up of this podcast. Haven't really quite figured out what we're gonna do for it, but a year is coming up within the next 2 weeks. Episode 57. So stay tuned for that. As I said, thank you, Trey. Thank you, Amina. Thank you, Matt. Have a great weekend. Enjoy it. To my people here on the East Coast, tomorrow is our last day of good weather. That's not cold, so enjoy the 68 to 71 degrees. And after that, it's rain and nothing but rain for a little bit. So
see you in November.
have a great weekend.